listening to Give God 90, where we're not afraid of the tough biblical questions, because we will dig through the language, the culture, and the history to find the truth revealed in the words of our Creator.
I wanna see the light.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for letting us share part of your day. My name is Jerry Mitchell, your host for Give God 90. Sitting in the supervisor's chair, as usual, is Myra.
Everyone.
Really didn't think we were going to have to ever say some of the things we're going to say tonight, but, you know, it's not every day that a new country is invaded, thankfully. But before we even get to that, let me thank everyone once again for joining us. The new folks that join all the time, we appreciate you. The ones who are with us consistently, we really appreciate you guys. Don't forget, if you like what you're hearing, you know, the likes, the shares, all that good stuff, that helps. It really helps. Get it out there. And if you click the notification bell, that also helps because, you know, for what's it take? Like 2 seconds to push a little spot on a face of a phone now or less. You know, you do that and it helps jump us up in the rankings and other people find us easier. So that way they can hear about, you know, the website where you can go and learn how to live the way that you are designed to live, hopefully. They can learn about the books that are already out, Tradition to Truth and God's Universe, God's Rules. And, you know, they can look at the website and see all the other stuff that's going on. You know, we've got a couple videos on there. Well, actually, there's more than a couple. There's several. My translation of Psalm 50 is on there, and a bunch of other stuff. A whole bunch of other stuff. Okay. I know everybody is wondering, concerned. Some of you are worried, and you know better. Going to say it that way. About what's happening in Ukraine. What does it mean? What's it all about? You know, is this the war that begins the last war? Is this that? Is this what's happening? Is this going on? Is that going on? Well, maybe. Don't know. How does it fit into prophecy? Quite honestly, we don't know. Nobody knows. And if anybody tells you they know, they're lying to you. Because you don't know how it's going to fit into prophecy until after it's done. I know that sounds kind of weird. Because everybody talks about how prophecy is supposed to tell us the future. No, it tells us what to look for. And if everything in the events that happened fit what was told to us, then we can say that was it. But until then, we don't know. Now, I'm going to speculate. And I'm giving this speculation warning out there because this is purely my speculation. What we are seeing could very well be what we read about in Ezekiel. In Ezekiel 38, 39, we look at Gog and Magog conflict. But don't forget that at the same time, about the same time frame, we also see earlier in Ezekiel chapter 30 that Ethiopia would be in a position to defeat Egypt. Now, what ties those things together? Well, the other day, there was an article in one of the many websites I look at that the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is now producing electricity. Isn't that amazing? Now, if you don't know or you're not familiar with what the Grand Renaissance Ethiopian Dam or the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is, it's GERD to be short. It is built on the Blue Nile River, which is the main tributary to the Nile River. For the first time since Ezekiel, Ethiopia is in a position where they can basically control how much water goes into the Nile River. The Egyptians are very upset and have been for quite some time. Not a whole lot they can do about it. But the Ethiopians are now in a position for the first time in history to, they can destroy Egypt pretty easy. How's all that tie together? Well, think about this. If you look at Ezekiel 38 and 39, it talks about, speak against Gog in the land of Magog. Speak against a leader. And what's going to happen now, if what we're witnessing in our lifetime, if it comes together, what we should see happen is Putin rein back in for a period of time because it's not ready yet. What you're seeing are the preparations because the world stage isn't set exactly the way it needs to be. There's powers in places that don't need to be in power. There's other things, and I'm talking about nations here. There's nations that are aggressive that don't need to be aggressive. There's other nations that things just aren't set up the way they need to be in the Bible for things to progress to enter in or to usher in that last period. But if what we're seeing in Ezekiel is any indication, and this is preparing the world for that. Basically, it's preparing the world for the place where the prophecies and the time where the prophecies can be fulfilled. Now, again, that's all speculation. But if you're familiar with Scripture, then we know what to look for. And again, we can't be certain until after the events occur. But the reason that prophecy's there is not always to say, this is what's going to happen. Sometimes these prophecies are there simply to say, this is what you are supposed to be watching for. This is what you're looking for. And if you know Scripture well enough, then you can be able to, is it from this particular piece? Is it from that particular piece? And then after the events occur is when you can put it all together. You see, it's not our job to predict the future. It's our job to be ready for the future. Does that make sense? Okay. We need to be watching. We need to be vigilant. And that's why I'm looking at some of the things I'm going to look at tonight. So you are not surprised when you learn how to understand the things that you've probably been told that might not be true. And one of those things that, and I hear it over and over and over again, that God loves you unconditionally. If you don't mind, the chat's open. If you're listening live, you can join the chat, leave us a comment, send us a message, or contact me in some way. If you can find a place in the Bible that tells us God loves us unconditionally. Now, I'm not talking about some place where you can kind of twist it a little out of proportion and make it happen. I'm not talking about a place where, if it doesn't really say it, but it alludes to it. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for if you can point to a phrase that is written out, so there's no doubt. Let me know, because I can't find it. I've looked. I can't find it. I've asked other experts. They can't find it. One I talked to a few years ago, he's a very, very, very intelligent pastor. He says, oh yeah, it says so right here. And he turned to where he believed it was, and he starts reading. He's like, wait a minute. It's not here. I know it's right here. He says, I've preached on this. I know it's right here. And he couldn't find it because it wasn't there. So, what is unconditional love? Now, I know a lot of people use the example, and I'm going to step on toes tonight, I think, but that's okay. Y'all should be used to that by now. A lot of people like to use the example of a parent's love for a child, but that really doesn't explain it, because it's not even universal. It's not general. Well, how can you say that? Every parent loves their child. No, they do not. Think about a mother who's an addict. She might claim that she loves her child, but she's only capable of self-love as long as she maintains a place for the unholy spirit of addiction to reside in her. Some mothers have sold their children. Is that unconditional love? Think about that. Some parents use their children in an attempt to seek retribution against the other parent. Maybe after a divorce or going through a divorce, they pit one parent against the other. Is that unconditional love? I don't really think so. Some parents abuse their children emotionally and physically. Is that unconditional love? Can you really say that is? I can't. Being a parent does not automatically give you access to unconditional love. So what is it? Is there a biblical definition of unconditional love? Well, you can search your Bibles, and I'm pretty sure you're not going to find a biblical definition of unconditional love in there. Now, there's places where you can try to pervert the Scripture. There's places where you can imagine it, but there's no legitimate definition of what it is. When Paul writes in Romans 5:8, God showed how much he loved us by having Christ die for us, even though we were sinful. That isn't unconditional. It's very, very conditional. Because according to this verse, only the people who are willing to accept the gift of redemption are accepted. You see, if and then, when you have that if-then situation, if you accept, then I will. If you, then I. The people who don't accept what's being offered are excluded. That's not unconditional. The 1 Corinthians 13 passage, love is patient, love is kind. It's read at weddings all the time. That almost rhymes, doesn't it? That wasn't intentional, by the way. It just kind of hit me. Excuse me. To love without condition. To love without condition. No quid pro quo. No expectation of something in return. Well, that's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? Now, let's think for a minute. If someone said, I love fish, he's a liar. She's a liar. They only love themselves. If they love the fish, they let the fish swim. Kind of like, I love steak. Well, if I really love steak, I'd let the cow live, right? What I love is the taste of fish. I love the taste of the steak. That's conditional because it's conditioned upon the taste, right? Well, think about this. Somebody might say, I love the way this car handles. Have you ever sat in a car that handles really well? Or maybe, well, not as many people do this anymore. You sit on a horse that knows what to do and when to do it. And all you kind of have to do is make sure everything's going in the right direction at the right time. When you're in that situation, oh, it feels so good to have everything working right. Now, suppose that car has a flat tire in the middle of something. Or suppose that car has engine trouble. Do you still love the way that car handles? Probably not. Suppose that horse bucks you off. Do you still love the way that horse handles? Probably not. Now, how many people listening just love to see a football game and think, I just love football. Well, I kind of imagine when your team's losing, you don't love it quite as much as you do when your favorite team is winning, right? See, those are expectations, and expectations are conditions. Myers going to read some verses that outline the parameters of some of the conditions that our Creator has established for us.
Genesis 22:2. Then God said, "Take your only son Isaac, the son you love. Go to the land of Moriah. There kill him and offer him as a whole burnt offering. Do this on one of the mountains there. I will tell you which one." Exodus 15:26. You must obey the Lord your God. You must do what the Lord said is right. You must obey all his laws and keep his rules. If you do these things, I will not give you any of the sickness I gave the Egyptians. I am the Lord. I am the Lord who heals you. Exodus 19:5 and 6. So now obey me and keep my agreements. Do this, and you will be my own possession, chosen from all nations. Even though the whole earth is mine, you will be my kingdom of priests. You will be a nation that belongs to me alone. Jeremiah 7:23. I also gave them this command: obey me, and I will be your God, and you will be my people. Do all that I command, and good things will happen to you. Jeremiah 11:4. I am talking about the agreement I made with your ancestors. I made it with them when I brought you out of Egypt. Egypt was like a furnace for melting iron. I told them, obey me and do everything I command you. If you do this, you will be my people, and I will be your God. John 14:15. If you love me, you will do the things I command.
Okay. Now, there's one that I'm holding back for a moment because we need to look at something first. What did the Creator expect from Abraham? Now, he expected Abraham to do what he was asked to do: offer Isaac. You need to go back and look at that carefully, because a lot of times you'll hear Abraham was asked to sacrifice Isaac. He wasn't asked to sacrifice Isaac. There's a difference in the language. He was asked to offer Isaac. Abraham trusted the Creator so much, he knew that there was a good reason he was asked to do this. He knew that if he really did have to give up his son, he would. But it wasn't that he needed to sacrifice Isaac. He needed to offer Isaac. He needed to be obedient. He may have understood the promise from the blessing he learned from the Melchizedek when he blessed the Creator using the bread and the wine. Abraham learned to trust the Almighty from the things that he had already seen, the things that he had already done, and he had already made up in his mind that he would do whatever his Creator asked him to do. Abraham was expected to be obedient. What does the Creator expect from us? Well, he expects the same thing. No excuses, no reasons for failure. He expects obedience. The Bible is filled, and I mean it is full of, if you know what you're looking for, of if and then. If you, then I. If you will live the way I designed you to live, then I will protect you. If you represent me to the people around you by being my priests, I will guard you like a special treasure. Exodus 19. Now, the passage I held back may seem strange, but listen to Matthew 5:30. If your right hand offends you, cut it off and cast it from you. For it is profitable for you that one of the members should perish, but not the whole body should be cast into hell. Why did Yeshua come up with that? What makes it... are you going to cut off your right hand and throw it away? What? That doesn't make sense, does it? Now, before we finish, let's... I'm going to let Myra read Proverbs 1:10 through 19.
My child, sinners will try to lead you into sin, but do not follow them. They might say, "Come with us. Let's ambush and kill someone. Let's attack some harmless person just for fun. Let's swallow them alive as death does. Let's swallow them whole as the grave does. We will take all kinds of valuable things. We will fill our houses with what we steal. Come join us, and we will share with you what we steal. My child, do not go along with them. Do not do what they do. They run to do evil. They are quick to kill. It is useless to spread out a net right where the birds can see it. These men are setting their own trap. They will only catch themselves. All greedy people end up this way. Greed takes away the life of a greedy person.
Greed takes away life. When the Creator told Moses that he was the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they had died almost 400 years before that moment. But he is God of the living. Solomon warns us that greed takes away life. Language in the Bible is very specific. Sin actually leads you to the second death, as that currently reads in Revelation. I think that's going to be amended within the next, hopefully, year to 18 months. I think you're going to see some interesting things come out of that. And I think what it's going to say is no longer second death, but it will be final death. Okay? It could be other death, but I think they're going to actually use the word final there. Come back and listen to this in about 18 or 20 months and see if I'm right. This final or other death, as I'm pretty sure it's going to say, is, think about that. If greed kills you, what can be associated with greed other than lust? If you want something so, and I know that in most English-speaking countries, lust is typically associated with sex, but not always. Because you can lust for power, you can lust for authority, you can lust for a lot of things. If you want that power, if you want that authority more than anything else, it will lead to final death. When Yeshua said, if your right hand causes you to sin and cut it off, he wasn't necessarily talking about physically sawing off your own hand. He was instead saying that if there's something, or more importantly, as what Solomon just talked about, someone close to you that's causing you to sin, you need to get it out of your life. Because it will lead you into the lake of fire unless you cut it off. You need to be able to walk away from it. Now I wrote, I wrote earlier this week that if you're attending a worship service that teaches anything contradictory to the Bible, or for that matter, anything that can't be found in the Bible, or if the teacher says anything that cannot be found in the Bible or proven by the Bible, you might want to change the way you're practicing your faith. Here's the reason why. It leads to the lake of fire. The people in your church, the people in your fellowship are probably very wonderful people. They may honestly believe that they have your best interest at heart. But the one who truly does have your best interest at heart spoke a very long time ago, and he expects obedience. That's the single condition of his love. that condition that you have to accept to receive his promise. It's also the reason that if we do what we need to do right now, our future is guaranteed. If we live the way he designed us to live right now, we will have a place on the new earth. It's that simple. Sometimes that means getting out of our comfort zone and being obedient. And here's where it gets tough. We need to be obedient even when our family or our friends don't understand. Even when our family, even when our friends, even when the people at our places of worship think we have abandoned our faith and our trust in the Almighty. Sometimes we need to cut off what we thought was our support system so that we can connect to the Creator's support system. And I'm not talking about joining a cult. I'm not talking about any certain fellowships. I'm saying what we need to do is find fellowships, find people that we can gather with, we can be part of, that use the Bible as their doctrine. Not that their doctrine is based on the Bible, but they actually read the Bible and do what it says. Don't just settle for a group. We've talked about the church of the church hoppers before, right? Where people go from one church to another church to another church to another church, trying to figure out where they fit in. All right, don't just settle for a different group of sinners that try to convince you that, we're stealing silver rather than gold because silver's less of a sin, right? You get where I'm going with that, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Don't think that you can go from one denomination to another because neither one of them has it right. Until they actually throw away all their books except the Bible and actually use the Bible to say, this is going to be the guide for how we live. You find a group like that, that's the one you want to hang on to. Because that's the one that's not going to cost you any money. Are you going to get upset sometimes? Yeah. Are you going to get hurt sometimes? Yeah. Are you going to get your feelings hurt, toes stepped on? Absolutely. But those are the people that you're going to be able to depend on. I have heard that time after time after time. You need to get out of the political religious system. It doesn't matter which one you're in. You need to get out of it. And you need to find or create a group of trusting believers that are willing to be obedient. I think it was in God's Universe, God's Rules that I write about how to find or actually begin a fellowship. That, as you put these people together, you grow together. You learn how to read, study, and trust. You trust what each other says, but you also at the same time hold each other accountable. The other morning we were talking about just because you have some letters behind your name, it doesn't necessarily mean that you know what you're talking about, right? And unfortunately, in the world today, we have this concept that, preacher said it, or the rabbi said it, and it's got to be right because he's the one that's been to school. I can't find it in my Bible, but he said this. You need to start asking where. Show me. Prove it to me. Not in some twisted, perverted way. Give me the biblical definition. Show me where it says. Right? Now, for Christians, it's easy because 1 John 3:4, I can give you the biblical definition of sin because it says sin is. You don't have to guess. He puts the definition out there for you. I got to find my place back in my notes again here. It's not difficult to find a group, especially if you're actually truly seeking the face of your Creator. The expectation is that you are obedient. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing. Gideon was willing, right? Gideon thought it was nuts when he looked at all those people that he was about to get rid of and just keep the 300 or so who happened to drink out of the stream the right way. He was probably scratching his head saying, are you sure about this one? I'm not real sure about this. He had some trepidation, I'm sure, because we all do. We really do. But the expectation is that you're obedient. Not a mind-numb robot, but obedient. You have to be willing. And sometimes you have to be willing to ask yourself one of the most difficult questions you may ever ask yourself. And that is, am I practicing my faith the way my Creator wants me to practice my faith? Or am I practicing my faith the way I want to practice my faith? Maybe you're doing it the way you've been taught all your life. I've been doing it this way for 50 years. You don't want to think that the people who trained you to do that could have been wrong. You see, we need to be willing to change, not for us, but for the Almighty. Because He's not going to change for us, right? We need to be the clay and allow Him to be the potter. It's the only way it's going to work. It's the only way to display what our Creator expects from us is through our obedience. With the events that we're witnessing in the world today, it's more important now than ever to consider the fact that you shouldn't put your trust in a government, any government, doesn't matter which one it is. And I won't stop short of saying don't trust the government. What I'm saying is don't put your trust in the government. We've talked to people who have sat in our house and said, I've honestly believed that if anything bad ever happened, Uncle Sam would put a weapon in my hand and say, go fight, because, he was a member of the military, right? Now he's going, I'm not really sure I should have put that much trust and that much faith in Uncle Sam. It's kind of hard to ask sometimes. That's a tough pill to swallow, right? You might be part of a worship community that allows sin, or worse, tries to include you in their sin. One of the things that was the final, I guess you could say, cut the final thread between me and the Methodist Church that I grew up in was when, and they've taken that link down, and I should have taken some screenshots of it or saved it as a PDF or something. But there was an article that connected the United Methodist Church to the Palestinian Authority monetarily, where they took the money, literally took the money from the church and went and paid the bail of someone who threw the rock through the windshield of a car and killed a 9-year-old girl. No way now to find that person because he's gone. He's out on bail and he's gone. Do not let someone else include you in their sin. Maybe you need to cut your right hand off. Not literally, but maybe you need to cause a separation between yourself and the sinners that you have been hanging around, even though they may go to a place of worship. If their actions reject the Creator's instructions, you may want to seriously consider where you are, where you're spending time, who you're spending time with. Don't allow your feeling of needing to be part of something to keep you from being part of something better. You need to be part of a collection or a group of people that actually put their trust in the Creator, not man, not governments, but only in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And you can begin to do that right now if you're willing. If you're willing to accept his terms and his conditions. And if you visit Give God 90, you can learn how to do that. And it all begins, not sure when you're listening to this, it's about 8 o'clock, 8:06 now in the evening. So there's people in the United States on the East Coast who might be thinking about going to bed. Don't go to bed with one of the prayers that beg for all these things that might not be what the Almighty has planned, right? But instead, go to bed with a prayer that he is in control. He carries the weight of the world. And everything that's happening is happening because he needs it to. War is never a good thing. And quite honestly, anyone who wants to wage war should not be in a position to wage war until they have stood and confronted someone face to face, and they know what it is to get beat around a little bit. Not to get political here, but I'm going to be honest with you. Vladimir Putin, as a young KGB agent, learned a lot. He learned how to fight. He learned how to negotiate from a position of power. He learned all these things where Joe Biden didn't. And Vladimir Putin, in basketball they call it the fake out, right? Where you look one way and you throw the ball the other way. In a gunfight they call it the flinch, where you move one side of your body trying to get the other person to do something. It's called misdirection. And he's an expert. Vladimir Putin's an expert at it and caught Biden off guard, quite honestly. Biden was way, way out maneuvered here. And now he's trying to catch up by doing the exact same thing Jimmy Carter did, 40 some years ago? If you remember, well, not everybody's as old as I am. When Russia invaded Afghanistan, one of the first things Jimmy Carter did was say, we're not sending any more agricultural products to Russia, to the Soviet Union. That's basically what Joe Biden said today in his speech. And all it did was hurt American agricultural producers. It hurt American families. It caused the energy crisis. The good thing is right now, we have the ability to reverse what he did a year ago, if he's smart enough to do this, and produce U.S. oil once again. It's the only way that the United States is going to be able to negotiate from a position of strength. Not sure that's going to happen. Not sure it's supposed to happen. But I do know this. If everybody who claims to be a believer in the creator of the universe would stop putting their faith in politics, stop putting their faith in government, stop putting their faith in their church or their synagogue or wherever they worship, and put their faith, their trust, and their whole faith, their whole trust in nothing other than the Almighty, it won't matter what the politicians do. Because you will have his promise that you are protected. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Keep everyone in Ukraine in your prayers, and we will see you on Monday.
As far as I know, we will be here on Monday. As long as we have internet, we'll be here on Monday.
Right.
Till then, many, many blessings, everyone.